Hey everyone, this is Lita and this is a really late edition of my May wrap-up. It's about 1 a.m. where I'm at. I'm not doing anything productive. I'm on Twitter and YouTube as usual, so I figured I had to get this done because I haven't really had time at all this month due to accelerated summer class, which I am finished with, thank the Lord. Last month I did really well, unlike this month. And maybe it was the pressure knowing that I was going to be starting my class soon. I actually participated in a readathon. I got 7 books read. One of those is an audiobook, but it still counts. I think I broke my life's record reading 7 books in a month, and I'm very proud of myself. Since I read 7 of them, I'm going to go through them really quickly. There were a few library books among those, so I'm just going to show a picture whenever I can. And let's get started. So the first book is Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. This book followed childhood friends Kathy, Ruth, and Tommy during their time at an English boarding school during their childhood, and also followed them during their adult lives, where their lives are very different. I can't really say much more about this plot without giving something away. I did enjoy reading the book, but I feel like there was just something missing. I wanted more background information about the world that they were living in. I do understand the author's choice to omit a lot of that information because we found it out as the characters were finding out about it, and it made for a different experience, but I personally would have liked more background information. The next book I read in May was Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. This book followed 11-year-old protagonist Piccola Goodlove. She grew up being mocked for her dark skin and kinky hair, so her ultimate wish was to have blue eyes. I really enjoyed this book. I love books that follow characters through different generations, and some of the things that we found out about people that raised Piccola were a little hard to swallow. It was raw, emotional, and very necessary to read. I gave this book 4 stars, and I would really like to read another one of Ms. Morrison's novels since this was her first. I feel like this was just the beginning, and she had a lot more to offer as her career went on. So I'm looking forward to reading more of hers. The next book I finished in May is one that I'm really excited about. I'm going to count it as one of my favorites of this year already. I don't know if it's too early to call that. I don't actually have my copy on hand since I let someone borrow it, and I'm already anxious to get it back. It is The Brief, Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde by Junot Diaz, and I will show a picture here. This book followed a Dominican American nerd named Oscar Wilde. Oscar is a kid who's looking for love, but is sort of treated like an outcast in his culture, so he spends his time pining away and confessing to different girls and is never successful. The style is written in colloquialism and uses a lot of slang terms. For me personally, I didn't have a problem reading it since I do speak Spanish as my second language, but for someone else who doesn't speak the language, I could see that it would be a bit of a hindrance, maybe a little annoying, but I still think it's worth reading. I've read other books that do use languages which I don't understand, but this one really used Spanish like maybe every other sentence. It was sprinkled throughout. There are a lot of footnotes in this book about Dominican history, and it was very interesting, and they were very quick and easy to read. Junot Diaz's style is not for everyone, which I learned from trying to go through the Goodreads reviews. There were a lot of very harsh ones. Very fun to read. Favorite book this month. Oh no! I said The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde was my favorite book this month, but I completely forgot about Americanah. Americanah by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie was my first audiobook ever. It was a very interesting and unique experience. I really loved the narrating style of the author. I believe it brought the characters to life. This book takes place in Lagos, Nigeria, and also the United States and the United Kingdom. The narrator really brought it to life for me. The story itself was wonderful. I love Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's style. I heard some exciting news that there's currently a movie adaptation in the works. This will be produced and starred by Lupita Nyong'o. I completely fell in love for the character Obinze in the novel, so I am excited to see who will be casted for his part. I'm not a movie person, I'm not a book to movie person, but I am definitely excited for this one. I'm not sure if Americans are going to be able to handle not only the discussions on race, but the observations she makes on American life, even our overzealous patriotism. Yeah, she makes a lot of criticisms on American society, and I just hope people are ready for it. I was. Next book I read in May, I also don't have with me. I borrowed it from the library. It is a graphic novel called Mouths 2 and Here My Troubles Began by Art Spiegelman. I actually owned the first one, and now that I've read the second, I would like to own that as well. I knew what to expect going in, but of course it is still a painful read. It's definitely worth reading, not only for people who are fans of graphic novels, but people like me who are just starting off in the genre. I definitely recommend both parts of it. Please read both parts if you are going to read it. Next is another library book. It is This Is How You Lose Her by Junot Diaz, the second Junot Diaz book I read in May, and the last of his books I had left to read. I don't want to get myself started on a tangent because I get kind of passionate defending this book after I read some scathing reviews on Goodreads. It seems like there are a lot of women out there who criticize the book because they don't believe there are men out there who could possibly act as cruel as the male characters he has written. Let me tell you, I believe it 100%. But that wasn't the only reason I got criticisms. There are a lot of people who don't like the style in which Junot Diaz writes, which he uses a lot of slang terms and curse words. And I can understand that his writing isn't for everyone, but you have to respect it a little. And there are people saying that this book was a waste of paper. I think that's a little over the top. The book followed the protagonist through all of his failed relationships, and I'd have to say that those were the least interesting stories to me, even though, I mean, they were still interesting, and that's what the theme of the book was. My two favorite short stories in the book were about a female immigrant worker, and another one followed Junior's relationship with his brother. I feel like I would actually go back and reread those stories. I'm not big on rereading, but I did really enjoy them. And the final book I read in May was another library book. It was Sputnik Sweetheart by Haruki Murakami. I gave this 3 stars, and I'm going to tell you why. I was reading and kept waiting for something crucial to happen. I was reading on, and my attitude during that time was like, okay, something's gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen. And that climax was very confusing. There's a little bit of magical realism in the story. I mean, I know what happened. I don't understand why the author decided to end the book where he did. I was left confused and wanting more. If someone could please explain to me what this book meant to them, I'm really curious to know this. After reading reviews on Goodreads, people say that there are many layers of symbolism. I didn't see it, so maybe I missed something. This novel actually scared me off from reading any other Murakami novels, so I don't know what to do. I enjoyed Norwegian Wood. It was a lot more straightforward. I don't want this video to be excessively long, so bye. No. Bluest. loosen up, loosen up, loosen up, loosen up. Okay.